Hey everyone, it's Blake. Welcome in to episode number 21 of our AEW 2022 save and TEW 2020. This is Dynamite and Rampage for August, week 3. We are very close now to All Out, which will take place the September week 1. So we're only a couple weeks away from All Out and our first big pay-per-view of the AEW save. We've done some of the special events, of course, like Road Rager and Fyter Fest, but we are on the road to All Out. And a lot of stuff to put in before we get there. We know quite a few matches are going to take place, but we'll really start to see that amp up this week on Dynamite and Rampage in terms of announcing a lot of the matches that we'll have on that pay-per-view. So let's jump in with the pre-show. Sammy Guevara gets the win over Jay Lethal, 7:42 here, 65 match. It's a match we could have just as well had on the main edition, but Sammy's kind of in a holding pattern right now until after All Out from a storyline standpoint. So we have put Sammy on the pre-show quite a bit, and he gets another win here as he picks up the victory over Jay Lethal. All right, now on to the main edition of Dynamite, and we start with Eddie Kingston walking right out as soon as we come on the air. Here comes Eddie Kingston because he's not waiting around. As Eddie Kingston comes out, and we just see him grab a microphone, and he's calling out MJF and Dustin Rhodes. We saw last week, Eddie was not going to stop going after those two. Security was everywhere, and Eddie Kingston came out fighting security guards. Was not enough. Punk eventually came out to sort of lend some assistance, but now it is Eddie Kingston calling out MJF and Dustin. He will fight either one of them. He does not care. He is not going to stop until he gets his hands on MJF and Dustin Rhodes, given what they've done to him after the mystery attack that was later revealed, which involved a couple other people, as we know. And so Eddie Kingston calling him out, but MJF appears with a big smile on his face on the screen. Dustin Rhodes right there with him. And so MJF just says, "We're not idiots. We're not coming out there to fight you. We'll come out whenever we're ready." He said, "Eddie, I don't think you understand this very well. We're pretty good at this whole planning thing, and we're not just going to come out there because we knew that your temper, you could not stop yourself from coming out. So we'll see you whenever we want to see you." And that's basically what MJF has to say. So Kingston's getting pissed. He starts to go to the back. So this gets to 75. But as Kingston goes to leave the ring, here comes CM Punk. And so a 97 overall for this one. Punk heads to the ring now. We see Eddie Kingston and CM Punk kind of cross paths again. They've sort of helped each other out in some of these scenarios, even teamed up several weeks ago or a while back now. But they're still Eddie Kingston and CM Punk. They're not necessarily friends here, but they kind of cross paths. Eddie's on a warpath to go, find MJF and Dustin Rhodes, I guess, wherever he can find them. So Punk heads to the ring, and now Punk is calling out MJF. He says, MJF, it's a long time coming. All you had to do, as I said before, is just ask if you wanted to come back and get a shot at me, and basically just calls out MJF for a fight here. And he says, if you want a piece of me, if you want a piece of this championship, I am waiting right here for you. And MJF and Dustin still on the screen, and you can once again see MJF just sort of smiling to sort of, make it very clear where this is headed. But then they just disappear from the screen, and Punk's just left there standing as he has called out MJF for a fight. So what will happen next? We will continue to find out as this rolls right along here. This whole saga involving Punk, MJF, and of course, Eddie Kingston, Dustin Rhodes involved as well. 97, great segment. Thanks to the one and only CM Punk, but in all honesty, everyone here kind of chipped in and did a great job for this segment. All right, our first match, it's Samoa Joe getting the win over QT Marshall for 46, Coquina Clutch. So kind of a squash match here, 52 for this one. Joe is going to be part of the Ultimate Elite Tournament. And so after the match, Tony Schiavone comes in, and Tony Schiavone wants to know, Samoa Joe, what are your thoughts on this whole Ultimate Elite Challenge here that you are going to be part of? And Joe just kind of talks about how he's ready to prove himself in this tournament, and that sort of everyone will eventually fall to the Coquina Clutch here. And so Joe just making it very clear, kind of setting his goals for Ultimate Elite, and, talking about he is Samoa Joe, and we'll see how he does in this tournament. So 62, just kind of a way for Joe to hype up the importance of this tournament. And as we know, we will still find out at some point on the show, Kenny Omega's first opponent. Will it be Samoa Joe? We will find out. 62 for this one. All right, and just to kind of lead off right where he went, where did Eddie Kingston go when he left the ring? Well, Eddie Kingston apparently went to find MJF and Dustin Rhodes. He made his way to the parking lot, and he's got nothing else to do, so Eddie Kingston apparently figured out who else he needed to go after, and that is the Butcher. So we see Eddie Kingston sort of attack the Butcher. The Blade and Bunny are not there, so Kingston attacking the Butcher in the parking lot, kind of, a little revenge here based on that's what these two did to Eddie Kingston, as we eventually found out. And so Kingston attacks the Butcher and sort of beats him down. Eventually, Kingston leaves. We see the Blade and the Bunny finally return. They find the Butcher down and out. So Eddie Kingston, he is here trying to take out anybody and everybody on his way to finding MJF and Dustin Rhodes. But I'd say he had something in mind with the Butcher here, because he was part of that attack on Eddie Kingston. 52 for this one, and we are not done, as we will see Eddie Kingston again here in just a bit. All right, match-wise, it is Hangman Page getting the win over Buddy Matthews. This only gets a 75. A little disappointed by this, and as you can see, off their game here. So both were off their game. I think I set this as still to show. Yeah, so I mean, look, these are two very talented workers. We wanted to give it a shot, but ultimately the inconsistency here, these two off their game did not help. So it took the rating down a little bit. I'm not going to be that disappointed with the 75 match, but still, Hangman gets the win over Buddy Matthews, 10:06. The Buckshot Lariat does it. So Hangman gets the win on this one. Now, what happens after the match? We've continued to talk about Malachi Black setting his sights on Hangman. He's talked about it. Sort of this is his path to the top of AEW is going through Hangman here. And so the House of Black are kind of surrounding once again. Malachi's talked about how he's already pinned Darby Allin. He's already pinned Sting. And Hangman's up next. So they go to try to attack Page again. But it is Sting and Darby Allin who hit the ring, sort of make the save. And we see, kind of the heels retreat a little bit here. And then that's when we get Hangman. Getting a microphone. He's pissed off. And he just kind of says, okay, you talk about who you've pinned. Well, I pinned Buddy Matthews. I pinned Brody King. And then that is when Hangman officially issues the challenge for Malachi Black. He says, you spend all this time talking and all this other stuff. You're talking in circles. He said, why don't we just settle this, you and me, in the middle of the ring? Let's, do this, and let's do it all out. So we see Hangman officially issue the challenge to Malachi Black. Hasn't officially accepted yet, but you guys probably know where this is going. So the challenge official, as Hangman challenges Malachi Black for All Out. 70 for this one. All right, then we get a backstage segment here. It is Britt Baker with Jamie Hayter and Rebel, and it is Britt Baker who is just telling Rebel again. And why is she saying that? Because she is just looping the replay of Britt Baker getting the pin on Yuka Sakazaki on Rampage in that tag team match. If you remember, kind of played this up where Jamie Hayter got the pin when it was Britt Baker and Hayter teaming up against Thunder Rosa and Athena several weeks ago. So Baker, ultimately the one that gets the pin, never, lets Jamie Hayter into the ring for the tag team match on Rampage. And now it's Britt sort of hyping herself up here, watching the replay of this win. We also hear Britt talk about how Thunder Rosa and Athena are going to be in tag team action next week, and they will be ringside to watch it. So that is your setup here as we are on the road to that rematch, Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, for the AEW Women's Championship at All Out. 60 for this segment. All right, and then Taz, very poor improvising dialogue. We've gotten that several times with Taz. I don't think that's right. I think Taz is great improvising dialogue. I feel like we should not have that note. So this gets a 60, but it's really just your setup here. Based off of the face-to-face we had last week, FTR sort of got their revenge on Butcher and the Blade, and that led to later in the night, they came out for that confrontation with Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs, and as we know, that was built off the initial match that was supposed to happen several weeks ago until FTR was attacked, which of course we figured out was due to the Butcher and the Blade. So, it's kind of a very interesting setup here. And so now, Taz just sort of reiterating that Team Taz, they would have had the match when it was originally scheduled, and they're not afraid to have the match again. So, again, another match that is officially set. It is going to be Team Taz defending the AEW World Tag Team Championships against FTR at All Out. So, All Out card really starting to shape up, and as you'll see here in just a few, it is really going to add quite a punch, to the overall card. So this one is officially set, and so this is kind of Team Taz taking aim at FTR, who will officially challenge them for the title. 60 for this segment here. All right, and then not a great match here. Sort of expected that. 45 for Jade Cargill getting the win over Anna Jay in a TBS title match. We had Jade, be a little bit pissed off on Rampage when we was sort of the video. If you remember, playing up kind of the rising women's division in AEW, whether we're talking about King Kota, Ruby Soho, Hikaru Shida, Anna Jay, all of those, but Jade beats Anna Jay here, so she goes through one of those. It was kind of profiled in that video. So Jade gets the win, and after the match, just kind of quick work here of Anna Jay. But after the match, Excalibur makes it official, and we see Jade sort of seeing the graphic pop up on the screen next week on Dynamite. Jade's going to defend that TBS championship again, and this time around she'll do it against Ruby Soho. So that's another match set for Jade, who has been dominant as usual here as the TBS champion. 60 for this one. All right, then we get a promo in the ring here. Tony Schiavone is back, and he is out with Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson, who, as we know, will also be part of the Ultimate Elite Tournament. And it is Schiavone sort of asking Danielson and Moxley here about Wheeler Yuta's match against Kenny Omega tonight. First off, because this is the match that if Yuta beats Omega, Yuta officially joins Ultimate Elite Tournament here as well. So they ask about that, and Danielson just makes it clear Wheeler Yuta's in the back getting ready with William Regal. He'll be ready for Kenny Omega. And you know what? What if we have to fight each other? What if Wheeler Yuta gets in the tournament? We all have to fight each other, and that's when Schiavone just says, well, even if he doesn't, we do know that you and Jon Moxley are going to face off in this tournament. That's part of how it works. And we just kind of see Moxley and Danielson looking at each other. And then Moxley just sort of tells Tony, there's something you should know. And you already know it. We're not afraid of a fight. And if we have to fight each other, that's fine. Because, Moxley sort of talks about bleeding with the Black Bull Combat Club and all that. So these two just making it clear. Yes, they know they're going to have to fight each other in this Ultimate Elite Tournament. But they're here to fight. And they've been fighting, with all these open challenges we've had for months. They're not afraid to fight each other. And basically, may the best man win here in the Ultimate Elite Tournament. So we will find out when that match will take place soon enough. But for now, kind of building up the Ultimate Elite Tournament here and the importance of it as well. 85 for this one. All right, now we are set for the big match, one of the big matches on this show, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Christian has said that Jungle Boy has to go through Luchasaurus to get to him, and that's the only way that Jungle Boy will get his match against Christian. And so we kind of get a promo here beforehand. Christian sort of saying that Luchasaurus is going to finish off Jungle Boy, and this was what everything was leading to. This was never about Christian wrestling Jungle Boy. Christian said he always knew Jungle Boy would fall for it to have to get into the ring with Luchasaurus when everyone knows he's got no chance in this match. So that leads us into the match, and once again, you guys know where I like to go with this. So the match plays out, Luchasaurus really dominating this match as you would expect, just given the size advantage and all those things. But eventually, Christian getting a little antsy. He wants to get his hands on Jungle Boy. So we sort of get that usual, ref gets a little distracted. Christian trying to get his hands on Jungle Boy. What happens? Well, unfortunately for these heels sometimes, these plans just don't always go according to plan. And for Christian, accidentally, kind of knocks into Luchasaurus here. That allows Jungle Boy to regroup, and it is Jungle Boy who rolls up Luchasaurus. 55 overall for the segment. The match itself gets a 63, and so it is Jungle Boy with the flash pinfall finish here, getting the victory over Luchasaurus after the botched interference from Christian. So Jungle Boy gets the win in this one, and I mean, look, it's... I know, again, size-wise, all that stuff, but in-ring performances, all that. Luchasaurus' in-ring work is not great in terms of this mod, so his numbers are usually pretty low, and you guys knew that eventually we were going to get to Christian and Jungle Boy anyways, so this is how we get there. And so Christian just completely pissed off after the match as he and Luchasaurus are kind of just standing outside, very angry. Jungle Boy's gotten the win, which, of course, does set up the match for Jungle Boy and Christian Cage. We'll go one-on-one. Like I said, I feel like it's been so long since we picked up this AEW save again. I feel like it's been so long since Jungle Boy and Christian actually finished their feud or whatever. But hey, we had already started it. We've got to get through it. So we are going to keep pushing right along with Jungle Boy and Christian. So 63 for this one. Go ahead and add that match to your all-out card as well. Jungle Boy and Christian. This card's really loaded up at this point. So, all right, next up, we get a video package here from Miro, who continues to talk about how his destiny is the TNT Championship. We know that match is going to take place at All Out. Miro and Wardlow for the TNT title. So another video package here. Miro talking about God and his destiny and all these things. So Miro pumped up for this match against Wardlow. Good segment here, 74 for that one. All right, then we get a promo from Chris Jericho. And it's Jericho saying that once again, just like he was when he and Angelo Parker and Matt Menard teamed up and won a trios match, he's going to be appreciated again on Rampage because now he's going to team up with Jake Hager and Daniel Garcia. They're going to be in action on Rampage. So Jericho just continuing the theme of wanting to be appreciated and talking about how Eddie Kingston, CM Punk, MJF, all these idiots around here, he wants to be appreciated. And so it's Jericho continuing to go pretty over the top with that, kind of running down the usual crew, whether it is, the baby faces and Punk and Kingston, or the heel and MJF, who tried to sort of set him up as Punk's attacker, as we know now. So, yeah, Jericho he hates everyone except for the Jericho Appreciation Society. 74 for this one. All right, and then we get a tag team match here. It is Red Dragon, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish getting the win over John Silver and Alex Reynolds. I continue to say, who was the best person in ring-wise in the match? Johnny Hungy, John Silver, 72. The man just continues to deliver greatness in the ring. This gets a 75. Good match here, as I said. I'm not surprised by that. This was kind of a fun tag team match to put together. Of course, the whole basis for this tag team match is what happens afterwards, and we go backstage, 69, nice segment here, as we see the Young Bucks watching Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish celebrating their victory over Silver and Reynolds, and Adam Cole is right there watching as well. So is Kenny Omega, and we see Omega kind of getting ready for his match coming up here shortly against Wheeler Yuta. And it is Adam Cole who just, is watching this. He's clapping in the back, and he just says, that right there is elite. And, Cole just kind of making that comment, and then we see the Young Bucks sort of look over at Cole, and we see Omega kind of in the background lift his head up a little bit, and we can sort of feel the tension still right here as Cole, kind of pointing out that is elite. And then Omega gets up, and he sort of slaps Cole in the back and says, let's go out there. We've got this to take care of. So Bucks are sort of standing there, sort of brooding a little bit after that comment from Adam Cole. What will that lead to? We will find out. 69 for this one. All right, then we get a video package here, or just an announcement. Wardlow's going to be in action on Rampage. Andrade versus Pac also set for Rampage. This is a pretty big Rampage because as you're going to see here in a second, we've got another match to add as well. But Jericho going to be in action, Wardlow in action, Andrade versus Pac. And what else? Of course, we built up Andrade and Pac over the past couple weeks, so that's a big match set for Rampage there. But what else is going to be on there? Well, we get an announcement that it's going to be Eddie Kingston versus Dustin Rhodes. That is going to be official for next week's Dynamite. But as that is being announced, we get kind of the Blade and the Bunny coming out from nowhere, coming out from just, who knows where. And the Blade's got a microphone, and he is just screaming. And he is just saying, Eddie Kingston, you son of a... we know what he's saying here. He is pissed off after the Butcher was attacked. And so Blade officially challenges Eddie Kingston, and he says he'll be waiting for him whenever he wants to have that fight. So this is something else that we are going to add to the Rampage card. So this is kind of a juiced-up edition of Rampage this week. We've got some pretty big matches with some significance on there. Not to say it's not always the case, but unfortunately, sometimes it is on Rampage. But Blade officially challenging Eddie Kingston after that attack in the parking lot there. So another big match added to this week's Rampage, 72 for this segment. All right, now that is going to lead us into the main event. Kenny Omega, Wheeler Yuta. If Yuta wins, he joins the Ultimate Elite Tournament. And here is what we get to as we go into the match. And it is Wheeler Yuta who continues to kind of, we see Omega coming out. Remember, this is his first match back in our save. And so Omega coming back, starting to get his groove back, and you can see the body language. He's really starting to feel it as he gets longer and longer into this match. Omega getting some of the rust off. But then Omega thinks he's got it taken care of. He goes for the one-winged angel, but it is Wheeler Yuta who is able to counter the one-winged angel from Kenny Omega, and that leads to Omega just being stunned And so Omega's stunned that Yuta is continuing to sort of counter. He's staying in this fight here. And so Omega gets stunned. However, Yuta tries one last sort of grasp effort here to try to take advantage after countering it, but it is Omega with the counter of his own, and eventually Omega with the V-Trigger 66 for the segment, and that is the match. 82 overall, pretty good stuff. I expected this. Great chemistry between these two. Okay, so that's good to know. We did do Still the Show, but I should probably tell you the winner. The winner is Kenny Omega, who eventually, I said V-Trigger, but whatever. It's just kind of how the game puts it. But 15-minute match. Omega gets the win over Wheeler Yuta, which means Wheeler Yuta will not be part of the Ultimate Elite Tournament. So we are officially set with the number now. It will not be 8 men. It will be 7, as it will be Kenny Omega. It'll be Samoa Joe. It'll be Adam Cole, Claudio Castagnoli, Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, and whoever Adam Cole's opponent's going to be at All Out, which Omega said will be revealed at that pay-per-view. So Omega gets the win, Yuta's out, and now the bigger story is what comes after the match, because afterwards, we've got Adam Cole out there. Danielson and Moxley come out to help, Wheeler Yuta after the loss, and they're just kind of helping him up and those kind of things. Cole is out there, as we said, and that is when Kenny Omega grabs the microphone. So let's get an 87. Good way to finish off the show here. Danielson struggled, but that's okay. Omega says that, that was exactly what I needed. I needed to prove to myself that this comeback was worth it. That all this, time off from injury and all of this, it was all worth it. All the hard work to get back to this point. Because I am going to prove that I am elite. And that is what this Ultimate Elite is all about. Everyone's been talking about that. Even when I'm not here. You were talking about it with Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson. All of you people were talking about it. But he said this tournament is all about proving that you're the best. And Kenny Omega says, and that is why I have officially set my first opponent for the Ultimate Elite Tournament. And we see Omega look at Jon Moxley. We see him look at Adam Cole, which we already know Cole's got an opponent. And then we see Omega turn and look at Bryan Danielson. And Omega says, my first opponent is going to be you, Danielson, because the last time we stepped in the ring, we didn't finish this. We're going to finish it now. Ultimate Elite, you and me, that's what's going to happen. All Out. And that is how we have the official first match announced for the Ultimate Elite Tournament. We are starting off with a big one, as it is Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson will officially kick off All Out. That will be our opening match for All Out. Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson, unbelievable start to that pay-per-view, the first match of the Ultimate Elite Tournament. So that is your setup, as Omega has announced Danielson as his first opponent. So we see Cole and Moxley kind of reacting to this. Crowd's reacting. This is a huge one to start this tournament. So an 87 overall for this one. Just so you know, we will announce the first official set of matches for the Ultimate Elite Tournament. That will take place next week on Dynamite. So we know for sure it's going to be Omega and Danielson. We know it's going to be Cole and a mystery opponent. But we don't know what other match is going to take place at All Out. Because remember, we have 7 people in this tournament with no Wheeler Yuta. So someone will not be wrestling, perhaps at All Out, and we will find out the third match in the Ultimate Elite Tournament to join Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, and a mystery opponent. We'll find out the third match that will take place on next week's Dynamite. So there is your setup. 87 overall for this one, and let's see what we got for the show. 85 increases our popularity. Of course it did. A lot of good stuff on here, a lot of good promo segments from some of our top stars. Main event did pretty well, like I said, even though an 82. I mean, I'm still fine with that overall. So good stuff there. And it's on to Rampage. As we start off with the pre-show here, as it is Santana and Ortiz getting the win over Pillman and Griff, the Varsity Blondes. 62 for this one. Gimmick changes. I feel like we have this every time we bring up Pillman and Griff. So, yeah, like, remember, they're in OVW right now, which we have them there. So, yeah, we just kind of always bring up some people to use on Rampage mostly, and so we bring them up here, but they don't get the win as Santana Ortiz with the victory. All right, we start off the main edition of Rampage. Like, you know how this works, right? We just start off and Eddie Kingston and the Blade are already fighting. Like that. This is like an Eddie Kingston staple, it seems. We had that with Jake Hager in the match he had with them a while back. Now, Kingston is just fighting the Blade, and they officially make it to the ring where the match starts. But it is Eddie Kingston getting the win, 65 overall for this one. Worth noting, no Butcher ringside with the Blade. We're kind of playing up the attack that Kingston had on the Butcher. So kind of just, playing that up there. But Kingston gets the win over the Blade, 8-15. So Eddie Kingston's revenge tour continues. Wild Brawl, we set this out. We have to have 3 different match aims on Rampage. So it's easy to use that with Eddie Kingston on the show because we're just going to make everything a brawl because it's kind of what you'd expect given the nature of the relationship here between these two and the interaction. So Wild Brawl, Eddie Kingston gets the win over the Blade. So perhaps the revenge on the Butcher and the Blade complete for Eddie Kingston, but he's got Dustin Rhodes coming up on Dynamite. All right, next up we get sort of an interview here, Tony Schiavone with FTR, and he asks him about this tag team match being official for All Out. They're going to challenge for the World Tag Team Championships, belts they've had before, and FTR just kind of make it clear in this promo. They have new motivation after those attacks from the Butcher and the Blade, and that's why we kind of played off the previous match here. And as they say, their career could have been over. They may not have come back from those attacks from FTR, or from Butcher and the Blade, but now that they're back, their motivation has never been higher. They know they have a lot more they want to achieve, and it all starts with getting those AEW Tag Team Championships back in their hands. So that's kind of the setup here. 61 for this segment. And then we get into a match as Wardlow gets the win over Tony Nese. So we knew our TNT champion would be in action here. The Smash Mountain Powerbomb. 47, they don't click at all. I'm not surprised by that. Seems like we've had a couple bad chemistry notes with Tony Nese. But I think it's been Tony Nese against some of the powerhouses. So it's fine. I mean, it is what it is. But a 47 is not great for our TNT champion as Wardlow gets the win over Tony Nese here. And as we said, on the road to that match with Miro for the TNT title. All right, then we get a promo here from Ruby Soho. We kind of use this format on Rampage, building off of some of the things that happened on Dynamite, and this one more so as we get Ruby Soho talking about how she's going to take advantage of her opportunity against Jade Cargill next week on Dynamite. That will be for the TBS Championship. And Ruby just talking about the reason she came to AEW was for opportunity, and now she gets that opportunity against Jade. So, yeah, just playing that up as a big title match we'll have next week on Dynamite. 60 for this one. Then we get the Jericho Appreciation Society version 1 or 2, whichever one you want to use, as it is Jericho and company getting the win over Dante Martin, Shawn Dean, and Brock Anderson. No surprise, Jericho is the best in-ring work. We did call up these 3 who we have in OVW right now, so we kind of let them get a little bit involved. Jericho gets the pin on Brock Anderson with the Judas effect. Dante off his game, but Dante's still benefiting from that hot new move that he created. I don't know what it is, but it's probably very athletic. So the guy can fly. So Jericho gets the win, and it is worth kind of noting here. Jericho gets the win because Jake Hager calls Jericho into the ring to make the pin on Brock Anderson. So being a nice guy is Jake Hager, showing his appreciation for Chris Jericho, and that's really what we're playing up here, and you'll see how that's going to unfold here moving forward. 58 for this one. So Jericho allowed the pin from his Appreciation Society. All right, now we get video footage of Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley talking to Wheeler Yuta after that match on Dynamite. Yuta came up short against Omega, so Danielson Moxley in, Yuta out of the Ultimate Elite Tournament. And so we get these two kind of talking to him, and you can tell Yuta's very down. That was his chance. That was his opportunity to join this prestigious tournament that Kenny Omega has created, but he will not be in there. And so they start talking to him, but then we see William Regal step in, and Danielson nods, Moxley nods. They know that Regal is doing something here. Regal steps in the middle. He puts his arm around Wheeler Yuta and sort of nods his head in one direction. And so that is Wheeler Yuta heading off with William Regal. Where are they headed? Perhaps we will find out. So 86 overall for this one. Good segment here to kind of build off of that main event match on Dynamite. All right, and then in our main event here on Rampage, it is Andrade getting the win over Pac in 12:06. We get some interference here from Roosh, and so we're playing that up a little bit as Roosh with some interference, to help Andrade here and kind of just a cheap win. So we did mark this as, steal the show. We kind of wanted to do that because we kind of go all out. We did want to add the Roosh interference as part of the finish here because we want this storyline to continue, so we did go with Andrade. This was kind of a tough call on which way I was going to go with this, but I did want to kind of keep this feud going for a reason, and so Andrade gets the win with a little interference from Roosh. So the heels doing heel things here. 76 for the match. Afterwards, the heels try to do some more things. Well, here comes Penta and Phoenix to make the save. So we've got Death Triangle in the ring. You've got Andrade and Roosh outside the ring, sort of playing up the numbers game here as Death Triangle, of course, has 3. Andrade and Roosh have 2, and that is kind of the story here as we move forward. So even though Andrade gets the win, they perhaps still have their work cut out for him for Andrade to officially finish the business, as he's been saying, with Pac and the Lucha Bros. So 55 for this segment. And we wrap up with a 98 segment overall. As I said, this was a big Rampage. We had Punk kind of, issuing the challenge to MJF. He would put his title on the line. If that's all he wanted, Punk said he's ready. He doesn't care what it takes. He just wants to get in the ring with MJF. Punk still got the swelling on his face from all the punches from MJF. That's all he wants. And so we get kind of MJF here, a video sent in, and it is MJF officially accepting CM Punk's challenge and MJF making it clear that he is going to finish CM Punk, and he is going to finish what he started inside of that cage several weeks ago, and he's going to do it at All Out. So, your match is official. This will be the main event of All Out. It is set. CM Punk defends the AEW World Championship against MJF. A long road to get here since we started the save. That's what we were building towards with the whole storyline, but it's set now. And, of course, you can probably guess some pretty fun promo exchanges between these two over the next couple weeks leading into the official match. 98 as we finish up Rampage, which gets to 75, increases our popularity in 16 regions. Some good stuff here on the back half of the card, but also pushing forward some significant storylines as well. So that is how we finish up Rampage. Let's see what we get to before we wrap up. All right, so Dynamite we struck gold with that. Rampage, we had a great show there. So always positive to get those 2 notes. Let's check our mail. Matt Jackson has an opinion. I like what I'm hearing from Ricky Starks. All right, well, hey, Ricky Starks is getting some promo time. Yes, see, there is money in Ricky Starks' promo. He's one half of the tag team champions, and we've been using him in some promos. So good for Matt Jackson. Dynamite gets a 2.02. That might be one of our highest ratings we've had so far. So we continue to move forward there. I think we talked about Minoru Suzuki. Yeah, we talked about that the previous week. I think that I left that on there. I don't know why, but I don't remember if we signed him or not, to be honest with you. So we will figure out if we've signed him or not. I can't remember if I actually did that. I know it was in my mind, but we'll figure it out. You guys will see eventually if we do sign him. So, all right, but like I said, that was Dynamite and Rampage. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. As always, appreciate the great support and the great feedback on all these saves on our channel. WWE Save, of course, is ongoing. Over 100 episodes there. We're on the road to WrestleMania, only a couple weeks away from WrestleMania there. And we've got the Exploring the Seaverse series, looking at the Seaverse. And as I'm sure some of you guys saw, we are starting a new Seaverse save, the first one we've ever done on the channel. We've done all real-world mods to this point, TEW-wise. We're going to do our first Seaverse save on the channel. And let me tell you, this is a total... I don't know. It's really tough right now to try to figure out which of these companies I'm going to use first because there is kind of a split between TCW, NYCW, and Raw. They're all 3 getting a lot of positive momentum in the comments, so check out that video if you haven't already. Maybe leave your feedback on which company you'd like to see. In all honesty, I may have to go with all of them. I may have to start a save with all 3 of them because those are the 3 getting a ton of votes and a ton of momentum. You guys are very intrigued by those, so we'll talk more about that as we move forward and start that Seaverse save. And another spoiler, I am starting a new real-world save as well. I got a lot of saves on this channel. I love wrestling. What can I say? I like a lot of different time periods, a lot of different scenarios. So another save that I've already done the introduction video for. I just have to decide when I'm going to release that. It will be a real-world save, and it will be a big real-world what-if. So there's your teaser for that. Hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you guys as always. On the next episode of our AEW 2022 save, it will be Dynamite and Rampage for August, week 4.